Hey guys, it's Ian. Welcome back to Ford Assist Solutions. So last time, if you were with us, we took my standard black AR-15 that I built using Aero Precision parts, and we put some camo pattern on it using some spray paint. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you an inexpensive way to add some enhancements to the rear grip and to the foregrip of the rifle. And in order to do that, we're going to need a few things. First off is JB Weld's plastic binder. This is an adhesive. We are going to be using some 60 grit silicone carbide. So what this will do is this will turn your rear grip into like skateboard tape or like sandpaper. Last thing, to wrap the foregrip, we're just going to use this inexpensive medical tape that has a camo pattern on it, and I'll explain that to you in a minute. But before we do that, let's clear the weapon and make it safe. There's no magazine in this gun, so let's lock the bolt back to the rear. Chamber's empty. Weapon's clear, and I'll show you guys how to do that in a minute. So just so that we can free up some space, let's go ahead and take that sling off again and place that to the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to address the foregrip first. And the reason why I put this medical tape on here is if you are running a laser or a weapon light up front and you have all these wires that go back and you need to encapsulate them somehow, using this tape is a good way to do that. Now, I don't run a D-ball on this rifle yet. I'm just running my weapon light with the rear pressure pad, so I'm not using any wires. But what I'm going to show you is this is metal, and in the wintertime, particularly when we're running operations, this gets extremely cold even when you're wearing gloves. So what I like to do is I like to wrap around where my support hand is going to be placed. That way I'm limiting, getting frostbite or long periods of times exposure to having my hand even through gloves on that metal grip in the wintertime. So how I started off is I start right here and I go at an angle. And the good thing about this medical tape is when you heat it up with your hand, it kind of molds to your grip. And again, this is just a really cheap, inexpensive way to add a little bit of grip to the forend, but also some protection from the elements. And that's all it is, guys. This is like a Cryptek pattern, so it kind of goes along with the camo pattern that I've already put on here. And this will fade in time also, but that's all it is. Just that little bit of grip up front. I could actually use a little bit more right here, so I can tape that up here in a second. And what I'll show you is if you run into a problem, just go like this. Really simple to do. And again, that just gives you that extra positive grip on top of the forend of the gun. I can still work my weapon light. If you had tape switches or wires, that would encapsulate them so they don't get caught on anything. And that's just an easy, simple method in order to tape those down. So now we're at the rear grip portion of adding this silicone carbide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking this JB Weld plastic binder, and we're going to mix it up in this little bowl. Don't need a ton of it, but as we mix this, I'm just going to take a little small foam brush here. As we mix this, it's going to start binding together, okay? And this one in particular is going to be like a tan. So all we do with this is we're just going to paint this onto the gun, onto the grip. Kind of move this aside so you guys can see this. And I'm not going to do the whole grip, just where the main parts of my grip are going to be. And I'm just adding a layer. I'm just going all the way around the gun, trying to make this a nice even coat. you want to do this relatively quickly because this stuff dries pretty quick. But I'd recommend that you guys let this sit overnight before you use it. So, but again, this is just more than what you're going to get out of if you bought like Talon grips, or from a company that you do like your sandpaper tape grip from, because this is actually going to weld it to the gun. So I'm going to take this little bowl, unscrew my cap here, and I'm just going to pour a little bit on at a time. Now this stuff is very fine, so try not to get this into your mechanics of the gun, into your trigger or anything. And what you're going to notice with this stuff is it's going to be really shiny at first, but once you use it, it's going to taper off. And the nice thing is all this excess you can put back into this container and you reuse it again. And this just gives this gun a really aggressive grip. This will actually chew through your gloves at first, so don't be afraid that it's doing too much, because when we get the grip this good, it doesn't matter if it's snow and ice outside, if you're bleeding, if you got oil on your hands, this is going to be the ultimate grip for this, and that's why I use it. And that's all it is. Alright guys, so what I did is I let this sit overnight, and it's extremely grippy, but there is a little bit of excess that's still flaking off. You can kind of hear it there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an old rag and just wipe in one direction down and just get the rest of the excess off the gun. And like I said, you can see a lot of the silver shiny parts in it, and I'm going to show you a way to mitigate that. Alright guys, so the way I get rid of that silvery speck, almost looks like glitter on the grip, is I just hit it again really quick with a color. I'm just going to hit it with the OD green and just a real light coating, and you're going to see how that gets rid of it. All I'm doing is just trying to get rid of the majority of that reflection. Now, this will wear off over time, and you can reapply this grip whenever you want. But that's basically all I do to get rid of that. Alright guys, so the rifle's finished. As you can see, that paint really reduced that glare, but it's still extremely grippy even with the paint on. That silicone carbide you can find on Amazon for like $9. This tape, same thing on Amazon, probably $8 or $9 for a roll. And that silicone carbide, the small container, I think I've done like 5 grips with it so far, and I'm only halfway through the container. Very simple to find. The epoxy you can find at any hardware store, so it's really easy. And I got to give credit where credit's due. Progressive Force Concepts, check them out. They're a great training organization. Brian Hartman, one of their head instructors, he does this grip to every one of his rifles. Now they're based out of Las Vegas, so they get a lot of hot temperatures down there, obviously, so they're constantly sweating, constantly, getting things on their hand with the dirt, and this is that grip that helps him. So this can work in any environment, and like I said, this is a real benefit up here on the foregrip, especially where I live. It gets really cold here in the wintertime, so it helps us out. If you have any questions, reach out to me, fordassistsolutions@gmail.com, or leave a comment in the comment section below. I appreciate it, guys.